Hi, my name is Cynthia Kramer. I'm the Science Outreach Librarian at Benedictine University, and in this webinar, I'm going to discuss using the APA style to format papers and to format citations. A little background about me. Um, bef- Before working at Benedictine University, I was at National Louis University, and I did do some writing tutoring as well as teach an online information literacy course in which I required my students to format their papers using APA. So I've used it as an instructor, I've used it helping students in the library, and I want to discuss, some basic concepts that will help you if you're a professor or help your students format citations correctly. So this is what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to go over the importance of citing, go over the basic format of an APA style paper. Then I'm going to dive into formatting the reference section because that's where I get most of my questions. Then the in-text citations. If I have time, I'll do using databases to cite. I'll show you an APA checklist and I'll do a demo of references in Word. So why cite? It's important if you're a student to give credit to another idea where you found it. So if you read it on a blog, if you read it in a book or an encyclopedia, you want to give credit to where you found that information. And then when you do cite it, you want to provide enough information that other people are able to find the information that you used. So here's the sections of a paper. There's the title page, abstract, introduction, method or methods, results, discussion, references, and appendices. And for an example, I have a paper that I got from Slippery Rock University. I'm going to bring it up. Okay, so I like this. It's a sample APA paper about writing a paper in APA. So this is the title page. So the title page is different, has a different header than the other pages. So if you want to edit the header, you can click in there. So again, you put in running head and then the title or an abbreviated title. So since this is a long title, more than 50 characters, this is an abbreviated title for that paper. And then you insert the page number on the right hand side. So to insert a page number, you can go to page number up here, go to top of page, and choose number 3 to have it right justified. You could also add an author note. You may want to already note that this paper, all the font is Times New Roman 12 and it's double spaced throughout. So the next thing is the abstract or the summary of the article. And anytime you have a heading, you want to center it and put the heading. So abstract and include the abstract. And this starts the paper. So the title of the paper starts there and you center it. And then for each paragraph, you indent the beginning of the paragraph. So you can hit tab, type your paragraph, tab, and that's how you format it. For each heading, so for method, you would put that in bold and center it. If there's subheadings, you can left justify those and put them in bold. And then for your next heading, results, you can center it again. Discussion, and finally the references section. And that's where I'm going to spend a lot of my time today. So you may get this question, is it a bibliography or is it called references? And in the case of an APA style paper, it's always references because a bibliography has all the references that you cited in the paper as well as others you may have read but not cited. And references refers to only sources that have been cited. So in APA, use references. All right, so here we are. We're in the reference section, and the first thing I want to talk about is how to format the reference for an article. And I'm going to pull my general format information from the APA 6th edition electronic resources manual, which you have access to as a faculty member or a student at Benedictine University. So here we go. It says author, that's really the last name of the author, and then first initial, middle initial. And you've got the year, period. Title of article, title of periodical, the volume information, page numbers, and a DOI if available. Or if there's no DOI, you can skip that or put the publisher website that you retrieved it from. And I just want to let you enforce that having a DOI or publisher website or database link is not required. So if you cite it from a database like EBSCO and there's no DOI or link to the database, that's okay. You can use that as your citation. Now, that was how APA writes it in their manual. How it really looks is, here I typed it in, you've got last, first initial, middle initial, year published, period, article title. And then the journal name is in italics. And the volume is also in italics. And then you have the issue number right next to volume, no space, pages, and then DOI or URL if you want to have that. So just so you know, what is a DOI? So a DOI stands for Digital Object Identifier, and this is maintained by an organization called Crossref. And the idea is you assign an article a permanent identifier and that you can link to that over time. Now you may notice in some of my examples it was HTTP or HTTPS. HTTPS is more secure, so links are going to move to that, so that either one is considered okay to put as your DOI. So here's an example DOI. I'm going to click on it. Okay. And when I click on it, I do get an error message, but it does bring me to the article. Now in this case, it doesn't know my library subscription, so I don't have access to it, but it does tell me where is the, what is the article that has this DOI. So that's what that link means. Here are some example references that I pulled from our databases. So here you can see that this has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 authors. There's an ampersand in between. You got the year, the date, or the year, the title. So only the first letter is capitalized in the title. Then you've got the journal in italics, volume number, issue number, and pages, and DOI if you want. And in the second one, again, I have the website that it came from, as well as this one has a colon, and the subtitle, you capitalize the first letter of the subtitle there. And I just noticed this Journal of Counseling is not in italics, so you would want to put this in italics and this in italics. All right, now I'm going to move to a book. All right, so you've got author, year, title of work, location, publisher. That's the general format. Now when ebooks, if you're using an ebook, you could still put that. You could put location, publisher, or if you're reading it on a Kindle or a Nook, you can put the e-reader version and the website that you got it from in lieu of the location and publisher. For a chapter in an edited book, so a chapter in an edited book is typically, each chapter is authored by a different person. So you would have the author of the chapter and the year when it was published, title of the chapter, again, only the first letter capitalized. Then you would put in the editor information, then the title of the book in italics, and the page numbers, location, publisher. And you may notice on all of my slides, I have little in-text citations telling you where I got that information. All right, so I put this in bold. So this is a frequent mistake. Make sure only the first letter of the title is capitalized. If the book has a subtitle, then again, only the first word after that colon is capitalized. So that's important. And for books, the title is italicized. For journals, the journal name is italicized. So here's an example book from our catalog. And so you've got the author, the year, the title in italics, first letter capitalized. Since this is a proper noun, the Catholic Church, it's also capitalized. The location, colon, publisher. All right, so this is where most people have their questions, is how do I cite a website? So the general format is author, last name, first initial, middle initial, year, period. The title of the document, again, only that first letter capitalize. The format, which in this case would be website, and then put retrieved from and the URL. Now, if there's no author, I've seen this as well. So that first one comes directly from APA. The second one is another version of a citation where you put article title first, year, month, and date published, and then retrieved from the website. If you don't have a date, then you use N period D period. So here's some examples. So I did, to get my information for this presentation, I went to the APA Style Manual 6th edition, the APA Style Electronic References Manual, as well as the APA Style blog, where there are articles in depth about different questions you might have about citing something specific. So here you can see I've got the author, year, title. A format in this case is blog post, and then the website that it was retrieved from. And then here, this is in that other format where I don't have an author. It comes from MSNBC, title, date, retrieved from. In this case, you could put 2010 or you could put the full date. So now, after I've got the references, I need to cite these references in the actual paper that I'm writing. So for the in-text citation for articles and books is to the author and the year. So, and it depends how many authors you have. The first citation, you want to put all of them in unless there's 6 or more. And in subsequent ones, you can use et al. So this table's kind of handy to help you visualize how you're going to do your in-text citation. So if you mention the author in the text, then you can put the year in the parentheses and you're done. So here's an example from the Slippery Rock paper. According to Cronbach and Meal, 1955, ... and then we're good to go because you've got the date and the authors. You can use an ampersand between the two authors. So when you do a parenthetical citation, maybe at the end of the paragraph or end of the idea. So you can do Cronbach and Meal, comma, 1959, period. And then another is if you do use a direct quote, then you would want to include the page number. So here's an example where you cite the author, the year, you have a direct quote, and then you use the page number. So now I want to talk a little bit about further sources. So you have access to the APA Style Guide to Electronic References. So you can click through and bring that up. It'll ask you to log in so that you have access. And this is what it looks like. And you can search it. Let's say you wanted to get more examples of websites. So I can see that's on page 32. which I know is really more like page 38 or so. So here's the general format I showed you, all all the general practices, okay? And then mini examples. So an example of, something posted to a news group, a blog post. A lot of examples are here and here, so it's nice to have. Okay. And then there's the APA style blog, which I think is very helpful when you have a specific question. So let's say I was interested in, they call them reference twins. So reference twins. So what happens is if you've got the same author, same year, but two different papers, you can put the year as an A and a B. And you may have seen that, you'll see that in the end of my presentation in my citations. I had to do that because I took two articles like this written in 2011 by Chelsea Lee on the APA Style Guide. So it's helpful to search your specific questions here, and I prefer that over the general web because I know that this blog is associated with the American Psychological Association and is recommended as, for further information that's not covered in any of the manuals. Okay. And then APA Style does offer a tutorial as well. I'll be sharing the slides after this presentation so you can click through and go in that tutorial. Other resources that I find helpful. So some of these I got from other universities. So I think especially for students, if you're unsure, an APA style checklist can be very helpful. So I have an example of one here. All right, and what it is it's got all the requirements for formatting your paper, general formatting, and it's basically a checklist. So you can just checklist and see if you've missed anything. It's a great way for me to keep track of all the different requirements for APA. And I showed you the sample paper that I love because it discusses writing an APA paper. And then I do like, if you like something a little more illustrative, I do like this research guide from Bow Valley College because it's going to show you example citations and it's going to have descriptions about them in these bubbles. So I find that helpful. They have a lot of examples as well. So of course you have to check everything, but because this is coming from a library, I consider it to be reputable. And then of course Purdue OWL. I'm sure you've come across Purdue OWL. They also have great examples and good explanations for why APA does certain things. So here's my citation list, and I'm going to bring that up in Word. I'm going to show you a little bit about creating references in Word. All right, so here are my references. And so I'm going to show you how references works in Word and how you can use it to format your references. So what you can do is you can put in your text. So in this case, I'll do slide 3. And then if you click on the References tab, it'll open up. Now I have other citation managers installed. So this is the Reference tab for Word. And I can click on Manage Sources. And here's my sources. Check marks mean I've already cited them in this paper. So I entered in all my sources. So here's an example and I can click on edit. So I put in the author, the name of the web page, And I skipped name of the website because I didn't find that required in the APA manual. I think that's something that's changed over time. So, even though the last manual was published in 2012, 6 years ago, there still are some conventions that change a little bit. All right, so that's what it looks like. And then I can go here and I can do insert citation. All right, and I'm going to say book chapters, what to cite. Okay, and you'll see that when I have these, the author and the title are included, which is different than what I showed you in my presentation because that's how Word does it. You can edit those. I think you convert them to text. Convert to static text, and then you can edit it if you want to take that out. Okay, now I've done this before, but I'll go ahead and insert references. So here I can do bibliography. So even though, okay, so it is going to do a bibliography, means it's going to pull everything that I have in here in my managed sources, which includes an example website because I had a student question on that. So let's see, I'm going to delete it from the current list. It's still in here, close. And then I can do bibliography, references. And then there's my reference list, fully formatted. I don't know that it doesn't look like it's necessarily in double spaced. So I do recommend changing it to static text. So see, convert bibliography to static text so that you can go in and change and add the spacing. Paragraph, double spaced. Okay, well that worked for that one, but you do them for the others as well. And then I wanted to show you how to get a citation from the Benedictine Library. So if I search, let's say sports nutrition, and I see an article that I'm interested in, I can click on it. And over here I can choose cite, and I can scroll down to APA, and this one actually looks really good. It has all the authors, it's only the first title, the first letter of the title is capitalized, and it even tells me retrieved from. So this is the database link. So there you have it. That's my basic intro on APA. If you have any more questions, feel free to contact me. If you're a professor and you'd like me to modify a presentation for your class and record it, I can do that as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this presentation and look forward to our other Library Express webinars. Thank you.